Now tell us
It's a
more.
very lucrative business.
Yeah, tell us more about your choice of contributors and their various perspectives that they brought through the interviews that you conducted with them.
Well, I interviewed, Chris Liebenberg, the former owner of the raceway, and his friend Gary Fleming, who is a motorsport commentator, also a motorsport buff. He knows almost everything about the motorsport in South Africa. I believed it was important to have the former owner of the raceway explain his point of view, tell the world what he experienced. I thought that was a very important and powerful story to tell. The rest came as I explored. Basically, I spoke to legal experts such as Martin van Staden from the Free Market Foundation, Mark Oppenheimer, an advocate, and they know the Constitution and the PI Act quite well. I also spoke to, I tried to speak to the city of Cape Town to get their perspective as well. Only JP Smith was willing to speak to me. I was also speaking to the Informal Settlement Department, but they only replied via email. And that's when I also spoke to the DA spokesperson on human settlements, Liolo, and as well as referendum parties, Robert King. And the only reason why I spoke to them is because in my research, I found out that they are the DA is trying to amend the PI Act on a national level, whereas the referendum party is trying to repeal it in the Western Cape. So I thought that might be an interesting point of view to bring up in the documentary.
Now, Joe,
and I also I also spoke to a woman who wanted to be anonymous, but she is someone who's heavily involved in the housing crisis and has been very involved in informal settlements in terms of helping those that are poor and needing toilets and stuff like that. So she was very willing to talk, but she only spoke anonymously for her protection.
You're a first-time filmmaker, and your film garnered with 60,000 views in the first 24 hours, which is quite impressive. What inspired you to tell this particular story?
A few things, but the main thing that inspired me to tell this story was I'm just a curious person. I wanted to know, I think I saw someone on Twitter actually, or X, by the name of LP. I forget his handle exactly, but his name is LP. And he put out a thread of all the towns in South Africa or Western Cape that he'd basically go back in Google Earth to like the 2000s, early 2000s, somewhere there. And he would show how, it was normal land, greenery, and then later on there was a land grab, and he would show the before and after. And I reported on this on my YouTube channel, and then I said to the audience, I was like, would you guys like me to do a deeper dive into this to find out why? Because I was also curious. How can it be so easy for individuals to just take over land, set up a shack, and almost seem like nothing happens to them? We are supposedly in a democracy, a constitutional democracy, and yet this is happening where property of any kind, whether it be municipal, whether it be private, whether it be government, is just not protected. And that really spiked my interest. And I decided to use the raceway story because it was I live in Cape Town, and during lockdown, I remembered that story, and I thought it would be a very interesting story. I researched very quickly and found out that Chris was still alive, still in South Africa. So I thought, okay, let me reach out to him. If he says no, then this story is probably dead in the water. But luckily he said yes, he would love to tell his story. And that's how it started. And that's when I really started to research and get into the depth of it and found out about the PI Act, found out about all this other nefarious stuff from interviewing all the individuals that were in the documentary.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people see the film?
The people can see the film on my YouTube channel, Newsflash with Joe Emilio, or they can visit the website to the documentary, which is stolenground.co.za.